The Bear is an American comedy drama television series created by Christopher Storer. It premiered on Hulu on June 23, 2022. The series has received critical acclaim with particular praise for directing and performances of its cast. In July 2022, it was renewed for a second season, which is set to premiere in June of 2023 and consists of 10 episodes. The sandwich shop interior is copied from the real-life Chicago shop Mr. Beef on Orleans in River North. The creator was a frequent patron and friends with the son of the owner. For the first season, the series was nominated for Best Comedy Series at the Critics' Choice Awards and the Golden Globe Awards. White won Best Actor of the Comedy Series at the Critics' Choice Awards, Golden Globe Awards and Screen Actors Guild Awards. Additionally, Edebiri was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series and Critics' Choice Awards, but the series' ensemble cast was nominated for an Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Comedy Series at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. The story follows young chef Kami, played here by Jeremy Allen White, who is from the world of fine dining, and he comes home to Chicago to run his family's Italian beef sandwich shop after the suicide of his older brother, who left behind debts, a rundown kitchen, and unruly staff. The cast includes Jeremy Allen White as Carmen Kami Borzato, an award-winning New York chef de cuisine who returns to his hometown of Chicago to run his late brother Michael's failing restaurant. Ebon Moss-Bachrach as Richard Richie Jereminovich, a de facto manager of the restaurant and Michael's old best friend. Ayo Edebiri as Sidney Adandu, a talented but inexperienced chef who joins the beef as its new sous chef under Kami. Lionel Boyce as Marcus, the beef's bread maker turned pastry chef, spurred on by Kami's mentoring. Liza Colón-Zayas as Tina, an acerbic and stubborn veteran line cook. And Abby Elliott as Natalie Sugar Bezzato, Kami and Michael's younger sister and reluctant co-owner of the beef. Some recurring stars include Oliver Platt as Jimmy Cicero, uncle of the Bezzato siblings and major investor in the restaurant. Matty Matheson as Neil Fack, a childhood friend of Kami and Michael and sometimes handyman for the restaurant. As well as John Berthenol as Mikey Bezzato, Kami and Sugar's late brother, who died by suicide via gunshot 4 months before the events of the series begin. The Bear has a soundtrack of 1980s, 1990s and 2000s alternative and mainstream rock classics chosen by the show's creator Christopher Storer and executive producer Josh Senior. Some of the songs featured on the show include Chicago-based Wilco with Spiders, Kid Smoke, Impossible Germany and Via Chicago, Radiohead's Let Down, Van Morrison's St. Dominic's Preview, Pearl Jam's Animal, Sufjan Stevens' Chicago, John Mayer's Lost Train Home, Counting Crows' Have You Seen Me Lately, Genesis' Into Deep, John Mellencamp's Check It Out, and R.E.M's Oh My Heart. Some fun trivia notes. Jeremy Allen White went to cooking school for 2 weeks and worked in a kitchen of multiple restaurants, among them the Michelin star-rated Pastioli, to train for the show. Matty Matheson, who plays Fuck, actually is a professional chef. Ironically, he is not seen cooking a single dish in the entire show. No hand doubles were used in the making of the show. All of the chopping and prep was done by the actors themselves. The character of Kami is loosely based off real-life Chicago chef Charlie Trotter. Kami's 773 tattoo represents the area code for Chicago. In Episode 8, the video game character from Ball Breakers is voiced by Paul Rudd. It was only until Episode 7 before the show began with opening credits sequence. Creator-director Christopher Storer said in an interview that it felt like this episode arrived at a new starting point, almost like we've been watching a prologue and now we were moving into an actual show. In Episode 7, when Sydney accidentally wounds Richie with her chef knife, this is likely reference to Italian cultural history, specifically the medieval and still occasionally practiced act of punctuate, which is to insult an enemy by stabbing them in the buttock. Substance abuse is common in the restaurant industry. In a 2018 article entitled An Industry Rife with Substance Abuse, Restaurant Workers Help Their Own, Tove Dunovich writes for the NPR, according to a 2015 study by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the food, service and hospitality industry was one of the highest rates of substance use disorders and their third highest rates of heavy alcohol use of all employment sectors. Now, I found this show to be absolutely chaotic, but it's meant to be. I think that's the point. It's supposed to invoke what it's like to be in the back of a kitchen cooking up all these meals. It's an incredibly well-crafted show, well-written, beautifully acted by the cast, but sometimes it almost leaves you breathless as you're trying to keep up with the story and all the characters, and the multiple plot lines, as well as, of course, the quick and delivered dialogue. You almost feel like you're watching at a candid camera as you are now taken on a journey of these characters who are almost living their real life in front of you. It almost feels like a documentary of what it's like to work in a kitchen in Chicago. The one thing that has to stand out for me in the show, of course, is seeing the wonderful food that is prepared and how delicately it's put forward on screen. It just makes it so appetizing and tasty, and it really is a nice sort of calming influence on the show compared to the absolute chaos and pandemonium that is happening around it. The cast are absolutely excellent here. Now, I've been a big fan of Jeremy Allen White for quite some time, as I always loved his portrayal as Lip in Shameless. But here, he adds another layer to his acting performance as Kami. A complicated man who is a very talented chef, but does not know how to open up his feelings and relate to all of his employees, as he comes from an obviously very harsh and abusive background, working in a top Michelin star restaurant in New York. He comes here now to save the day after his brother Michael's suicide. But instead what he faces is an absolutely chaotic and a mess of a kitchen, and now he tries to restore order and bring some sort of balance to these people's lives. I was particularly impressed here by Ayo Edebiri as Sydney. She plays her role perfectly, and I love her sort of calm demeanour at times until, of course, she absolutely loses it. She in herself is a very talented chef, trying to find her way in life and break free from her social constraints. I must compliment Ebon Moss-Bachrach here as Richie, albeit that the character irritated me terribly, and at many times I was just hoping Kami would fire him and he would be told to leave the restaurant, as he always just seems to get in the way. That is also testament to how well this performance is put forward here by Ebon Moss-Bachrach. And as irritating as he can be, he definitely adds another level of entertainment to every episode. There's no conformity to this series. Each episode does what it wants to do, and the story is quite fascinating, albeit quite simple really. Every actor plays their role to perfection, as if they were just having a normal day. This is just their normal life when we happen to be viewing it. It's definitely a show made with Chicago in mind, as the show really adds Chicago as its an extra character, and of course adding food as its final character. Wonderfully chaotic, brilliantly acted with a tight script, an authentic and original premise as well. The Bear is a show that will leave you breathless, leave your head spinning, wondering what can happen next in this absolute bedlam of a kitchen. The Bear gets an 8.5 out of 10.